Welcome everybody to the Assistive Technology Strategies, Tips, and Tools for Supporting Reading. And so this newsletter is really going to focus on text-to-speech, meaning that students listen to text while they are kind of reading along as they go. And this is, in a way, a bird's eye view of the newsletter. And so if you are taking this PD series for credit, you can click on the sketches link down below and fill out a simple form that asks for your pick and all that kind of stuff. And but we also have a sharing space that we would love for you to visit. And at this sharing space, you can share some of the reading tips that you guys are already using, but we also are asking a question in the sharing space, asking if students are listening to text rather than reading it to themselves, is it considered cheating? And so what are your thoughts about that? And so I can see somebody already wrote no, and I would love to ask them, explain more about that. Why don't you think it is? And I'll try not to persuade you one way or the other. However, I will say that the moral of this newsletter is to let your students try listening to texts. Everyone does it, right? We do it. It's everywhere. Their friends do it. Everyone's doing it. So why not let them listen to it? And also for any student that has an IEP, this is one way, kind of using some of these resources here, it's one way that you are considering assistive technology. And so even if the answer is no, it's not good for them, at least it's being considered. And so you can kind of safely check that box that yes, you did consider it. So I'm going to move right into now the newsletter. So let me zoom back in. And we'll start out at the top and work our way down. So research shows that listening to text actually helps improve students' fluency as well as their comprehension. And so by reading fluency means how fast they read and kind of the intonation and things like that. And then comprehension, obviously. And this resource actually showed or talked about, they were wondering if when using a text reader, if the text was highlighted as it was reading out loud, if that made a difference or not. And so it didn't particularly make a huge difference. And so that's something to keep in mind. However, one of the main differences or main thing that they stressed was that students do need to look at the text. And so we want to make sure that while they are listening to text, that the text is also in front of them. And if it is highlighted, then that's fine. And important to know, all students are different. So if a student prefers to have it highlighted, then yes, that would be good. And another great article is on how older students, their reading skills can improve if they are using text readers. And so on a personal note, I was working with a student who she was a freshman in high school, but she was reading at a second grade reading level. And one of her main diagnoses was auditory processing delay. And so she needed to hear things at a slower rate. And so here she is a freshman. It's the first time she's being exposed to text to speech. And we just turned the voice down softer or slower so that it was reading at a slower level. And in one school year, she increased 3 grade levels in reading. And by the time she graduated high school, she actually got a job in a library, and she continued reading by listening to it. But it was a great way to kind of prove to me that speech to or text to speech can really help older students. And so jumping down here, one of the things we need to do first is turn on text readers or start using text readers. So this first section, if you click here, there'll be directions on how to turn it on in iPads. And it's called Select or Speak Selection. And that's where students will highlight text and then tap Speak, and it will read out loud. And some students could actually also ask Siri to read the screen. And you wouldn't have to turn on any settings for that, but it would start at the top of the screen and read down. And for some people, that's too much information. So you may want to kind of fine tune it. Chromebook also has, it's called Select to Speak under the accessibility section of Chromebooks. And there's directions for turning that on. You may need tech support to help you do that. But a lot of Chrome extensions are out there that a lot of us who are in assistive technology, we feel that these Chrome extensions are better than that built-in Chromebook select to speak. But you do have to remember that not all Chrome extensions are alike. They all have their kind of strengths and weaknesses. And right now there isn't one that I particularly like more than others. So I have 5 here in this comparison document that shows, if you click on the natural reader, click on these blue, it will take you right to the Chrome store to download or install onto a Chromebook or in a web browser, except for on an iPad, right? We're only talking Chromebooks. And then along this left side are the important kind of features that I think are important when you're using a text reader. So you'll want a text reader that works with Google Docs, because that's where a lot of students are reading or even writing their own information. And so not all of them read Google Docs or work in Google Docs. Immersive Reader doesn't, and that breaks my heart because it does everything else so beautifully. You'll want a choice of voices, right? You'll want some male and female voices at the least, and maybe even some higher quality voices for free. Reading in different languages, now they all do. So if that is Spanish, it will read it in Spanish. Immersive Reader is the only one that will actually translate the text to a different language. So if it's in English and you want it translated to, for example, Spanish, it will actually translate and the text will be changed right before your eyes. Uploading a document, Natural Reader and Immersive Reader are the only ones that where if you have a document, a separate document, not on the web, if you upload it, it would read. And making alterations like changing the size of the font or colors or different things. And again, Immersive Reader is the only one that really does that right now. I'm hoping others will change. That's why these boxes don't have a no in it. It's just kind of left blank. That it'd be great if I could put a yes in there sometime. So the only real limitation of Natural Reader, besides that it can't translate text, is that it doesn't have the other accessibility features, but maybe you could do your behind the scenes accessibility features. And so anyway, I highly recommend Natural Reader and Immersive Reader as 2 extensions that I would recommend using for text readers. So hopping down to the environmental text. So sometimes you have text in the environment, right? So you have flyers on the walls, in the hallways, or menus in a restaurant, or ingredients. And so Google Lens is one app or part of an app that works really well. There's a ton of other apps that work well, but and some that not so well. But most of them have some type of not a glitch to them, but something that kind of slows me down on using them. Either they cost money, they only are allowed to use so many scans, so to speak, before you have to pay or something like that. Google Lens is pretty universal. So it's for iPad and Android. And for this, especially environmental text, I'm really encouraging that to be used with cell phones and maybe a tablet, but not necessarily a Chromebook. It's a little awkward trying to take a picture with a Chromebook of something on a wall or a restaurant menu or something like that. So I'm going to show you, this is a demo here, but I'm going to show you also with my iPad. I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to share on my iPad my screen. There we go. And so I'm just going to open up the Google app, and it's down here at the bottom. I kind of already have it going. So the Google app does other things, but Google Lens is built inside. And so if you look at along that search bar, there's a camera. So if I tap there, that's where Google Lens is for the camera, or inside the Google app. And so here's a flyer that might be in a hallway, say, for volunteers. And again, down at the bottom, you'll see search in a white circle. I'm going to tap on text, and now it's going to find text in that document. So you can imagine that being on a wall somewhere. And I tap the round circle, and it takes a picture of that. And the last thing to do is just tap on listen.
VOUNTER food emergency response volunteers needed.
Okay, so you can see that it captured that text, and it's going to start reading it for students. I recommend that the user has good vision for that, because it's going to kind of jump around and they may have to figure some of that out. But it's a pretty accurate. It's about as accurate as they come in free. But for example, a year from now, if you're thinking, oh, I know I have a student that could use this type of feature, maybe Google Lens won't be the right one a year from now. It's such a changing market. So I highly recommend you either keeping an eye on that or contacting me in a year from now. And I will have, maybe I'll have a comparison chart with different apps that let you capture environmental text. Jumping down to this one, this is an audio recording. Again, we're keeping in mind that we want students to have that text in front of them. So maybe having a student listening to text, that robotic text isn't quite right, or there's other, for example, classroom books or different things, posters on your wall that maybe won't scan good, that are big or something. So okay, thanks, Kelly. So the one option is Vocaroo. So Vocaroo is a recording website, totally free, and it's web-based. But let me show you the powerful tool that I'm talking about. So when you get here, if I were to ask you, what would you do here to record your voice? It's pretty obvious that you would use this microphone. So I highly recommend this tool be used with perhaps grandparents reading things, or older students, but still maybe older elementary students. Very simple to do. They click here and now it's recording, and I can tell because there it's the countdown. I'm going to click here again and that stops it. And my choice right now is to listen to it or to record it. There's no editing features at all. So I'm going to just keep it there. And if I click on share, save and share, now is the point that I wanted to get to is the QR code. So now this could be printed out and it could be taped onto, for example, an address label, and then put inside of books that are in the classroom, thinking of for younger students. So a grandparent could be reading books to students. You could staple this QR code to a packet, and then it would could read the directions out loud. So QR codes are great. Yes, exactly. Put it on the flyers. Isn't that perfect? So that, and it's so quick and easy, right? The hardest part would be, because this QR code, when you save it, it doesn't save in a very user-friendly. So here it's Vocaroo QR code. And so you need some type of saving convention so that you can figure out what exactly, because by looking at it, I can't tell what page number of a book that is. So that's the only kind of where you really need a cup of coffee to figure that part out. And then lastly, for text readers, I think it's important to use text-to-speech as a proofreader. Often our students are in Google Docs or some other place, even Microsoft Word, whatever, where they are typing out their paper and having them use a text reader to proofread. In fact, I think it's great for us. I use text readers all the time to listen to what I have written, so that it helps pick out those obvious things that if your eyes keep looking over the same text all the time, then you just aren't going to be able to really do it justice in proofreading. So that's it. Look, 11:45, great, we're good on time. And if you don't have any questions, I'll kind of end soon here, but do want you to scan this QR code that I made with Vocaroo to kind of help give you an idea of what it's like for if a student does scan, that it does kind of take you to the Vocaroo website, but you just listen to play and you're ready to scan again in pretty soon. So to give you that kind of workflow and to give you a little pep talk. So any questions, you guys?
I don't think I can do it right now because I'm listening to you, but I wondered if using Immersive Reader in the Edge browser gets around the Google Doc issue. Okay.
It does work in the Edge browser, I will say. I haven't tried it in a Google Doc in Edge, but it might. But it's more that the Google Doc, because it needs to be published and then it will do it. And a lot of things don't work inside, a lot of extensions don't work inside Google Docs for some reason. But that's a very good, it's worth trying for sure.